Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch another lovely day in the Ozarks. It was a little chilly, but we're supposed to get warm today, like in the 60s. And then by Monday, that I've seen multiple reports on this, so I'm not holding my breath. But I saw one report yesterday predicting up to 6 to 7 inches of snow come Monday. Other reports are showing that it's not going to happen, that it just may be rain. It looks like the temperature is just going to be right on that line of whether it's going to be rain or snow. But yeah, 7 inches of snow for here this time of the year. That's pretty significant. Now the temperature won't stay cold. It's that day it's supposed to be back up in the 50s, so it won't last long. We're not quite there yet. That's January. January around here can be kind of brutal. But yeah, 6-7 inches of snow is what they're saying. So the children will be excited if that happens. You know, we have said this many times before, you and I and many others here on YouTube and around the world of the internet. You'll own nothing and be happy. Yeah, don't forget that. I know it's not talked about nearly as much as it once was when that all great reset, You'll Own Nothing came out. But it's still a thing. It's still happening, and that's still their goal, that you're going to own nothing and you're just going to live with it. You're going to love it because, well, you'll have no other choice. You're going to be doped up on all kinds of drugs and injections and psychotic things online that messes with your mind, and you won't know any better and you'll just be happy. Because the overlords are in control, right? That's what they tell us. Don't worry about it. We got this. The climate change stuff, they got to spend billions of dollars flying and exert tons and tons and tons of carbon emissions just so that they can all hobnob with the snobs and decide what us little plebes are going to have to do to cool the planet down, according to them at least. Like get rid of our heaters and our washers and our dryers and our dishwashers and ceiling fans and just everything, cars, trucks, all that kind of stuff. They want it to go away. They're even talking about in Europe of starting to confiscate, at least in the future, classic cars. Those cars that are just horrible for carbon emissions. But of course, they live in their multi-million-dollar homes, multiple multi-million-dollar homes, and fly around in their private jets, and they have motorcades with 100+ vehicles in them. And yeah, anyways, you know what I'm getting at, right? So we're watching that. I think when that came out, the You'll Own Nothing and Be Happy, everyone was like, oh my goodness. And then, after a while, people are like, how are they going to make that happen? Well, we're seeing them make it happen. We're watching inflation just continually go up. Don't listen to the little numbers that they tell you, oh, it's only 3%. It's only 3% on the few little items that they mention. But if you look at the totality of everything that we purchase, and then you compare that over at least a 2 to 3 year period, you're looking at least 20 to 25% price hike over at least a 3-year period. That's minimal. Some things are 40, 50, some things are even up close to 100% increase in prices. So that means that your purchasing power is a whole lot less. That's like an additional tax, a huge tax, in fact, because who gets that, right? I mean, who eventually makes that money? It's not the people at the grocery store that's working. They're struggling just like you are. It's not the management. They're making hardly any more than they did 3 years ago. You have to go really all the way to the very tippity top to see who's making the money. They're consuming more of our wealth, which unfortunately for most people, it's in the form of fiat currency. But it's still wealth that we have. It's still something, right? It's still something. I mean, land is wealth, and gold and that kind of family is the wealthiest thing that you can ever have. Don't let anyone else tell you that that's not true. But anyways, the point is they're consuming that. It's this, I remember, and I wish I could take the time. I don't have the time, but I have to go back. It was a video that I made before the pandemic really started. It was even before the lockdowns. And I said, we are about to see the greatest wealth transfer in human history. And I think that's exactly what's happened. If you look at these billionaires over the last 2 or 3 years, they've increased their wealth by 40, 60, 70, 80%. It's astronomical how much wealth that they have gained. And then if you look at the average middle class to lower class, they've lost just about the same, about 50 to 60% of their wealth. Here's a simple little chart to just show this. This is new home mortgage prices, like the monthly fee that you pay. They're now nearing $3,000 a month on average for a new home mortgage. $3,000 a month. Now, I know many of you are saying, I don't even make $3,000 a month. That's true, and this is an average, so you're averaging all the very expensive homes in wealthy areas. But the point is this is by far, and I mean really far, lots of fars, by far the highest average for home mortgages. Well, why is this happening? You know, why is it that you can't afford a car, and why is it car loans are astronomical? They're the same way. High auto loans. That's why we're seeing so many delinquencies. That's what they do. You know, you jack the interest and the prices and stuff up. People can't afford it, and then they go delinquent. And then what happens? Well, they get your wealth. You know, the banks, they consume your homes. The big investment firms come through in neighborhoods and they buy up entire neighborhoods because you can't pay it anyways, and it looks really good on paper when they show you how much money they'll give you for it. And they consume your wealth. They are consuming America's wealth. This is a massive, massive, huge problem. This is all part of their Great Reset, New World Order, Agenda 2030 plan. I know that's a mouthful, and some of you may roll your eyes, and the YouTube censors will possibly put a little notification at the bottom of this video telling you it's all a conspiracy theory, even though you can get on their own websites and, well, they flat out say it. You can listen to their speeches, and they say it too. But the point is that we're watching this happen, and this is a massive part of their plan. You know, put you in your little pod studio apartments, you know, your tiny little cars, or none at all, using public transit, you know, getting off of the land. They don't want you living out like this. They want you moving into the cities. They encourage that. You know, farming is bad for the environment, and growing gardens is dangerous, and cows are, you know, killing the planet. You know, the United Nations just last week was strongly encouraging Americans to eat less meat. You know, don't eat meat, eat bugs. This is something that is becoming more and more profound, and interesting enough, less and less people seem to be noticing it. I think that the little psyop that is convincing people that this is okay, well, it's working. And we cannot forget, with all that's going on, whether it's wars and immigration, you know, I've been hitting that one hard the last couple of days, everything, that in the end, I think part of their big overall goal is to take everything from you and then control you. They want it all. They want you, your mind, your DNA, everything. They want to control it, and they want to own it. Because they have this, you know, God mentality. They think they're superior. They think that they're of a greater species, and they probably, you know, have Nephilim DNA in them. Oh, I know, I just said the word, and some people just, he didn't go there. But that's kind of what they think. It really is true. And I know for many of you, you might be thinking, well, how do we combat this? Like, how do we, what's the plan? You know, what are we supposed to do? Well, it's, you know, there's a whole lot we can't do. That's the unfortunate thing. Sorry. mooseruncoffee.com. There's a whole lot we can't do. And they know that. They know that they control so much. They control virtually every industry and segment of modern society. And they think they've got us. But I think what they don't realize is that, especially in America, there's still this very rugged, individualist, fierce, independent mindset. If you go back to the founding of this nation, for the most part, you had farmers that were fighting the wealthiest, well-trained, most experienced, biggest military on the planet. I mean, the British Crown at that time was the epitome of everything. And a bunch of farmers fought and rebelled against them, and they won. And we hail from that, okay? And so once again, we have these royals, basically. These people that think that they're so elite. They think that they're better than us. They think that they know better than us. They think that they are physically and genetically better than us. And they're trying to control us. And I just want you to know and to remember that the only way that they can truly control you and I is if we allow them, okay? Even if they imprison us, they still can't control us. And so that's what they're trying to do, and we have to resist that. We have to let the world know, maybe not in a vocal way, but in the way that we behave in the life that we live, that we are not falling for this, that we're not being part of their little globalist scheme. And I feel that one of the best ways is to break away from it, to, in a sense, secede from their society, to be as self-sufficient and independent as possible. At some point, is there going to be a time where there's at least enough organization within folks like you and I that we do more than just, passive resistance? Probably, yes. I don't know that that's the time. I mean, in some ways, yes, it is the time, but the people aren't ready. The people aren't organized enough. There's too much infighting. We're spread out. But that may actually happen at some point. We'll talk about that when it happens. But the point is right now, the best thing that you can do for yourself to prepare for this constant onslaught of changing our world forever and constant battle to try to take away from you everything that you hold dear is to separate yourself from them as much as possible. Find the few places left that, for the most part, people leave you alone and let you live however you want to live. There's negatives to that. That means that there's other people living how they want to live, and it may not be what you like. But you have to kind of, as long as they keep it on their property, that's their business. Find a place that you can live like that. Find others that are like you, and actually start living that way. Just living outside the system as much as possible. I know you're all going to say, well, what about money and paying the bills and job and taxes and insurance? And yeah, I get it. But the more that we are independent of them, the more that we don't need them, the freer we are. Now, of course, they could come after us. They could send their drone army out here in the sticks to come after us. But it's unlikely. It's possible. It's unlikely. Even Klaus Schwab back in 2016, when he was talking about this very thing and was asked, well, what about all the people that live out in the country that, aren't going to comply with this great reset, whatever thing? He said they're just going to get cut off and they're on their own. Well, if that's the truth, then I'm okay with that. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. Me, that's a best case scenario. Just leave us alone. And we have to do that. We have to prepare for that. Most people aren't quite ready for that, even though they may be mentally ready. Maybe you're prepping. The reality of what that means, that you're on your own. There's no resupply. There's no medical care. There's no energy. There's no safety, security, police investigation, fire department, ambulance. None of that. If that's the way it happens, that's a huge change for everyone. And we have to be prepared for that. And that's why you stock up, you train up, you pray up, you build your communities, you work on figuring out how to build systems outside of the system, so that when it fails or when it becomes far too intrusive for you to be participating anymore, you have something. It's not maybe as good, but at least you have something to stand upon. And that's what I want to encourage you to do every day, is to focus on doing that even more. How can you accomplish that? How can you become more independent? How can you become less needy of the system? To me, that's really what preparedness is. Folks, you need to be getting your houses in order and preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.